I walked into Wood Hill Prison and I left Wood Hill Prison without speaking to another prisoner, without seeing anyone. I spoke to one person for 1 hour once, Joe Outlaw, a prisoner called Joe Outlaw, who has been in solitary as well for a very long time. He's been fighting the system against the IPP. And he was, it's a mad story actually. You know, when I went to Belmarsh prison for the first week, remember when I'd been to Belmarsh 3-4 years ago, I spent time on it's called the contingency suite. It's a prison within the prison that was built for Ian Huntley. And I spent time there 4 years ago. I spent months there. This time I land there, they put me there again. Now, when I walked out the first day there's a courtyard, exercise yard. So basically it's a prison within the prison. It's got 3 rooms. One has an exercise bike. Then there's a shower room. Then there's your cell. So everything you need is there. Your visitors are brought to that unit. And I walked out on the exercise yard. And when I walked out on the exercise yard, I looked around and someone had done paper mache and covered the whole place. Like I'm looking at it thinking, what the hell has happened here? And how has someone done that? And the officers were there. I said, what happened here? And they said, Joe Outlaw. I said, who's Joe Outlaw? He goes, he's caused the most destruction there is in the entire prison system, millions and millions of pounds worth of damage. I said, well, what's his story? He said, well, he's an IPP prisoner and he's a climber. I said, okay. They said, so he just climbs everything and gets out of everything. And they said, so he was brought here. He just spent 6 months in that cell that you're in now. I said, okay. I said, how the hell has he done this? He said he took the prison window out. So he smashed the window out, he made a catapult and he covered every single part of every window, yeah? So he just destroys stuff, which I found a mad story. So they would say, and I asked prison staff every time. I asked them about Julian Assange, any prisoners. I said, well, what's the school? What's he like, Joe Outlaw? They said he's a lovely lad. They said, but he's rebelling against the system because he got a 3-year IPP and he's been in here 10, 12 years. Yeah. Like, I don't know if you know about IPP sentences. Yeah. They're where people were given sentences where they were deemed to be a danger. He done an armed robbery, I think. Yeah. And then they're just not released. They've got no light at the end of the tunnel. So he keeps rebelling and climbing on roofs and smashing things. So I heard all this story and then I'm putting this unit on my own, 16 cells. And then one time they couldn't get me over to where they take me for exercise. So they put me out on the yard at the back. And as I'm out on the yard at the back, I heard, oi, oi, at the window. So I walk over to the window. This lad's at the window. He goes, mate, he goes, Tommy, I'm an activist as well. I said, you're an activist? What are you an activist? He goes, my name's Joe Outlaw. I went, fuck off, mate. I said, look, I'll just see what you've done. I said, I've just come from Belmarsh. So I see, he goes, yeah, that was me. And he starts getting me out all these newspaper clippings. Google this lad's name, yeah? Have a look at his story.
Is that his real name?
No, he's changed his name to Joe Outlaw, but this man is a warrior and a fighter for his cause, yeah? So bearing in mind, like he spoke to me and he said, I don't agree with everything with you, Tommy. I said, you probably don't know everything. But I had one hour conversation with this lad, yeah? And I spoke to him through the window and my heart bled for him because he's stuck in solitary. So because he's a climber, when I say he's a climber, Google the pictures. He's got, in maximum security units, which is where we were. So in a maximum security unit, you have this little courtyard and the courtyard has a cage over the top of it. You can't get out. He got out. He got out. He got through the roof, on top of the roof in a maximum security yard. He got onto the roof of Manchester Prison, smashed the whole wall down. Everything he's done and all to highlight his cause of IPP prisoners and his fight against the system. Because IPP prisoners, do you know how many of them are killing themselves? There's no light at the end of the tunnel. They're literally engraving IPP in their body and hanging themselves. Yeah. So he's fought that cause and he'll never see the light of day, I don't think, unfortunately for him. Because once you rebel against the system likes to teach you a lesson. Or they try to teach you a lesson, break you. But that's the only person I spoke to. I spoke to him for 1 hour during that prison sentence. The rest of the time, I was totally on my own.
Yeah, look at Charlie Bronson. But the IPP, for people who don't know, there's people who got 4 and 5 year sentences that are still in prison over 20 years. IPP was abolished as well. It's not active anymore. Yet people are still doing life sentences for something that doesn't even exist.
And then and do you know what? Do you know I sat there and I sat in my cell. I was on solitary. He was on solitary. So I sat in my cell and I thought about my situation. I had an end date, which was only 9 months. And I know what it was doing to my head. Yeah. So then I sat and put myself in his situation. He has no end date. There's no release date for IPP prisoners. So that man, how is he meant to stay sane? How is he meant to behave? How is he meant to have any light at the end of the tunnel when he has no date? There's no release for him. And then you expect him to behave. And I know by the little things they did to me at times. So say like my phone would turn on at 6 p.m. I'd line up and I'd wait to ring my kids at 6 p.m. So I'm going to speak to my son at 6 p.m. They just don't turn the phone on. Do you know, like I'm ready to kill someone. I'm looking, wanting to smash the whole place up, ready to losing my mind, thinking I'm waiting when I say you've waited, I've lay there looking at the ceiling for 10 hours waiting for that phone call. And then they don't turn the phone on. And they've done that so regularly as well. They literally done it all the time to me. And they've done that, but they're doing it to me. And then I think about, again, I just sat each time and thought about him. I thought, well, I'm getting out. Yeah. I'm out in 9 months. He doesn't have a clue when he's out. And he has took it upon himself. That's why I say the man's a warrior. He's a soldier for his cause. Well, after speaking to him and looking what he's done, I see him as in a bad situation because it's like Charlie Bronson. They never let him out.